StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello, namaskar. My name is Pooja Divedi and I bring to you the daily current affairs where we must learn about the events of significance from the perspective of UPSC preliminary examination, but also understand how to tackle the tricky questions that UPSC throws at us in every prelims. Before I begin with the events, I would like to inform you about the 3 courses that we have launched recently. These are prelims to interview batches, live classes from 19th of June onwards. Do not worry about the classes we have already conducted because these are just orientation classes. But if you want to get the classes that have been conducted, you can get it easily from our app. And if you want to take admission, do hurry up because we have limited seats. There is no out-of-pocket expense once you take admission into this particular batch. For Hindi students, it's available in complete Hindi. For English ones, it's available in complete English, and for the English ones also in English. So this is a prelims to interview batch. Remember, we will prepare you for prelims, mains and interview all. And this is available at 70,000. But if you use the code PDLive, it will be made available to you at 29,999 only. We have limited seats and closing down soon on June 30th. So please do hurry up. Now let's move towards the events. First of all, let's talk about the following statements. Consider the following statements during summer solstice. The northern hemisphere is tilted most towards the sun. The vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere occurs on September 22nd or 23rd. The winter solstice marks the exact moment when half of the earth is tilted away, farthest away from the sun. So what do we have to see? How many statements given above is or are correct? See, you have to imagine the sun and the earth first and imagine them rotating, not rotating, but the revolution process in an anti-clockwise direction. So once you see the map, you will be able to do it. See, this is the map that we have, as in the diagram, not the map. This is the sun and this is the earth. Earth moves in an anti-clockwise direction. This is clockwise, but this is anti-clockwise. So there are 2 equinoxes in one year. The March equinox, which is known as vernal equinox, and we have the autumn equinox. Okay, so vernal equinox is when the sun is shining on the equator, and that is directly on the equator. In the northern hemisphere, we call it the spring equinox or the vernal equinox. It happens on March 21st, either 20 or 21st. For September 22 and 23rd, we have the autumnal equinox. That is also in relevance to the northern hemisphere. All right, and here also the sun is shining directly on the equator. When the sun shines directly on the equator, what happens? That the day is divided into, not the day, but 24 hours are divided into equal days and equal nights, or equal hours of day and equal hours of night. All right, and the sun is moving in an the earth is moving in an anti-clockwise direction. Here we have the earth, and here is the anti-clockwise direction revolution. Here March, here June, because we have an anti-clockwise direction, right? So when it is moving towards this particular direction, this is the month of June, and here we have the summer solstice. During the summer solstice, as you can see, the northern hemisphere, this is the northern hemisphere, it is tilting mostly towards the sun. When it has tilted mostly towards the sun, what does that mean? That this region is going to have direct sunlight for most of the time. That means a longer day. And summer solstice is observed in the northern hemisphere on 21st of June, 20 or 21st or 22nd. These are the 3 days because it is the exact moment when the sun is at its highest point. All right, so whenever that point occurs, it could be June 20, June 21st or June 22nd. In this year, it is June 21st. So this is that. I hope you understood it. Then another anti-clockwise direction. Then we have autumnal equinox. Here also the sun is shining directly on the equator. Equal days and equal nights. And then we have here the winter solstice, when the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. This is happening when? On December 21st to 22nd. Again, the exact moment when the sun is at its highest point. So I hope you understood that. So summer solstice, it takes place at the exact moment when the sun reaches its highest point in the sky. And of course, we have to understand the first statement in that from that perspective. During the summer solstice, the northern hemisphere is tilted most towards the sun. I have shown that in the diagram. Vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere is not observed in September but March. So second is not correct. We have in September the autumnal equinox. Third statement is definitely correct. The winter solstice marks the exact moment when the half of the earth is tilted farthest away from the sun. So first and third are correct, second is not correct, two only will be the correct answer. June 21st we are observing as summer solstice, and it is officially the beginning of the summer season, although India is already reeling under the heat wave. And summer solstice is when the northern hemisphere is tilted most towards the sun. Essentially, it marks the point when the sun's rays hit this part most of the times. That means longer day. Vernal equinox is when the sun is exactly above the equator. So is autumnal equinox. In the northern hemisphere, it falls in March, in the month of March, 21st or 20 or 21st. And it is when the sun is crossing the celestial equator when it is moving towards the north. When we talk about the autumnal equinox, again, the sun is moving towards the south and it is crossing the celestial equator. So when it shines on the celestial equator, then we have this particular autumnal equinox. All right. Winter solstice is when half of the earth is tilted away from the sun. And of course, it happens on December 21st or 22nd. Because less sunlight reaches at this moment, what happens? That we have longer nights as compared to the days. With respect to defense industry in India, consider the following statement. India was the world's largest arms importer between 2018 and 2022. The increase in defense exports has been about 7 times what it has been since 2015. So remember the years of comparison as well. India exports equipments to Spain, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Chile. So what do we have to do? How many statements given above is or are correct? India was the world's largest arms importer according to the latest CPRI report, which is correct. Alright. So this represents 11% of the global arms import. The increase in exports, if we compare right now to the year 2015, it has been 7 times. This is definitely correct. First and second both are correct. And India is exporting defense equipments to many countries, about 85 countries, from Spain, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Chile. So first is correct, second is correct, and third is also correct. All three are correct. Option C is the correct answer. India's defense exports have reached an unprecedented height. It was in 2013-14, it was just rupees 686 crore, but now it is at an estimated rupees 16,000 crore in this particular fiscal year 2022-23. It has grown 23-fold times since 2013 to 14. All right, and we are exporting to more than 85 countries. Indigenous aircraft productions are increasing, specifically Dornier 228, artillery guns, BrahMos missile, Pinaka rockets, launchers, radar, simulators, and armored vehicles. All we are manufacturing and exporting to countries such as Italy, Sri Lanka, Russia, Maldives, Mauritius, Nepal, France, and also Egypt, Israel, Bhutan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Philippines, Chile, Poland, and Spain. Sometimes it can happen that prelims can ask you this as well. So you have to keep in mind about this. Keep in mind these things, okay? The increase in defense exports has been about 7 times since 2015-16, which was at 2059.18 crore. Moving on. Stockholm-based CPRI has pointed out that between the years 2018 to 2022, we have imported we have been the largest arms importer, and this is representing 11% of the global imports. All right. Now, with respect to the G20 Sustainable Finance Working Group, consider the following statements. It was launched in the year 2016. Its aim is to align international financial institutions' efforts with the Paris Agreement. So what do we have to see? Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Yes. This started as a green study group under the G20. From the year 2016, it has been working. The name and upgradation has been done over the year. So first statement is correct. And yes, it wants to mobilize financing for the green technologies, and that should align with the Paris Agreement of 2015. The first and second both are correct. That means we have to ensure we must keep the global temperatures preferably below 2 degrees Celsius at, if we compare it to the pre-industrial level, but at or below 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this is the range. It should be kept below 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial level, this is first, but preferably below 2 degrees Celsius. So this is the range, 1.5 degrees Celsius to 2 degrees Celsius, so that the bracket is there. Countries do not worry too much about it, all right? Although we need to worry too much about it. So both the statements are correct. Option C will be the correct answer. The final day of the G20 Sustainable Finance Working Group began with International Yoga being observed at the Shore Temple at Mahabalipuram early this morning. And this will take us to another question as well, the Mamallapuram or Mahabalipuram Shore Temples, all right? So this group was launched in 2016. It was the Green Finance Study Group. The mandate was to build a consensus between different countries to mobilize finance for the green technologies. This was the major mandate of it. In 2018, this group was expanded to consider the additional aspects of sustainable development goals. Okay, so this was renamed as Sustainable Finance Study Group. Then comes 2021. In 2021, the G20 finance ministers as well as the central bank governors, they talked about the re-establishment of the goals through another group. So this group only was upgraded to the G20 Sustainable Financial or Finance Working Group, so that it can align its goals from the Paris Agreements and the Sustainable Development Goals as well. All right. Now, moving ahead to the other aspects, Mahabalipuram or Mamallapuram. Let's talk about it. Consider the following statements. All medieval European travelers described 7 shore temples in Mamallapuram. Right now we have only 2, right? The shore temples of Mamallapuram was built during the reign of the Pallavan king Rajasimha Narasimhavarman II. Ptolemy refers to Mahabalipuram as Malange. This is an information that you might not find in some books, but I have pointed out with the help of certain very important information which I have discovered when I was reading about Mahabalipuram. So UPSC asks question beyond books. What do we have to see? We have to move beyond books. This might not be very well pointed out in NCERTs or in other different standard books. So remember to watch DCA daily, because I will bring such information to you, so that you might not say what kind of a question was it. I haven't read it in any book. All right. So these 3 options are here. These 3 statements are here. How many statements given above is or are not correct? We have to select the not correct ones. Remember that. Okay. So all medieval European travelers, yes, they have described 7 shore temples. This is one of the biggest things that we have known so far, because we have only 2 right now. What about the other 5? Let's know about them as well. The shore temple of Mahabalipuram or Mamallapuram was built during the reign of the Pallavan king Rajasimha or Narasimhavarman II. Second is also correct. And Ptolemy has referred to Mahabalipuram as Malange in his text. So first, second, third, all 3 are correct. None will be the correct answer, because we had to see which of the statements or how many of the statements are not correct. So the word Mahabalipuram, it comes from the word Mamallapuram. Where is Mahabalipuram? Here is Mahabalipuram. So the thing is that Mahabalipuram has taken its name from Mamallapuram. What does Mamalla mean? Mamalla means the warrior. It was a title which was taken by the Pallavan king Narasimhavarman I, who reigned from 630 to 70 CE. Mamallapuram became an important commercial center in the 6th century during the reign of the Pallava king Simha Vishnu. So all these are very important prelims fact. You might not find it in the general books. Through archaeological, numismatics and other texts, we can find about Mamallapuram. For example, if we talk about numismatics, Roman coins of Theodosius have been found over here from 4th century CE. That means trade was there, and it was described as a thriving seaport which had relations with Sri Lanka, China and other Southeast Asian countries. Periplus of the Erythraean Sea has described Mamallapuram as a thriving port, while Ptolemy has said that Mahabalipuram is known as Malange. So all these are important preliminary facts. If you want to develop notes, you can do so. Huinsang has also described Mamallapuram as a Pallava seaport. Okay, that means it was under the reign of the Pallava kings. And also the Alvars, very important Alvars and Nainars were there. So the Alvar, Tirumangai Alvar, he has also described about Mamallapuram being a port because ships were anchored there and it was a thriving port. That means too much commercial relations were built. and this book was written by Tirumangai Alvar, Nalayira Prabandha. Now, if it is asked in your preliminary examination about this book, you can know who has written it. Okay, moving on. Marco Polo has described 7 shore temples. He has said that in his book, he has said that there are 7 pagodas of Mamallapuram. In 1375, the Catalan atlas Abraham Crescus has also described it as 7 temples. How? It has called the shore temples as Seti Melti. It comes from the words Sette Templi, that means 7 pagoda. What it means in Italian. Okay. In 1582, Gasparo Balbi, which was a jewel merchant, a jewelry merchant, he has also called it 7 Chinese pagodas of Mamallapuram. The thing is that Marco Polo, Balbi, Nicolai Manucci, they never stepped into this city. But as they were traveling through the sea, they could see 7 structures like this, these spirals. And they thought that these are looking like Chinese pagodas or Chinese temples. So that is why they were calling it 7 pagodas or 7 temples built by Chinese men. Because Nicolas Manucci has said, or Nicolai Manucci has said, that these are the 7 China men built pagoda, because it was similar in structure as the Chinese pagodas. So what about the other 5? It was found out through the tsunamis and through the divers of the sea that there were other pagodas as well, but now they are under the sea. So sea level rise is something which is of course not new, but it has been happening. So these European travelers, medieval travelers have described 7 pagodas instead of 2, 7 shore temples instead of 2. But the shore temple has been built during the reign of the Pallavan king Rajasimha Narasimhavarman II. It is the oldest structural temple which is of significance in South India. The 2 temples hold 3 sanctums. 2 sanctums have Shivas, that means Shaivite shrines, and 1 is dedicated to Vishnu. So both Shiva and Vishnus are there. Alright. Consider the following pairs. We have to match the ports with the countries. They are situated in Mombasa, Kenya, Safaga, Egypt, Toamasina, UAE, Chattogram, Bangladesh. So, how many pairs given above is or are correct? Why have I asked you this question is really interesting, because today is the International Day of Yoga. So, what is happening that the Indian Navy, Ministry of Defense, Indian Navy, Ministry of Ayush, these all have come together to celebrate this day by building an ocean ring of yoga. That is why this is very important. Here, ships, INS ships, which are very important for the defense of India, these are visiting the friendly country ports and enlightening them of the benefits of yoga, the mental as well as physical. So that is why this question has been asked. Now, Mombasa, if we have to actually look at it, Mombasa is in Kenya. Okay, so first is definitely correct. First statement or first pair, not statement but pair. Then Safaga, second is Safaga. Safaga we have to match with the country it is found in. Safaga, yes, it belongs to Egypt. Here is Safaga belonging to the country of Egypt. Second is also correct. Then we have another one, that is Toamasina. Toamasina is Madagascar's port and not UAE's port. And then we have Chattogram port, which is in Bangladesh. So that makes the first to be correct, second to be correct, not the third, and fourth to be correct. So 3 only will be the correct answer. This is the ocean ring of yoga that many important INS are going to visit. Here you can see Trishul, INS Trishul will visit Toamasina. Now INS Sunayana will go to Mombasa in Kenya. Then INS Chennai will go to Safaga. INS Deepak will go to the Red Sea. Then INS Brahmaputra will go to Dubai. INS Tarkash will go to Muscat. Then we have other very important INS which are over here. Vagir, INS Vagir will go to Colombo. INS here is Kilton. INS Kilton, it is going to Chattogram. Alright. INS Saryu of Malacca. INS Sumitra of Phuket, Thailand. INS Shivalik of Indonesia's Jakarta. So this is the ocean ring of yoga that Ministry of Ayush, Ministry of Defense are building with the help of our INS ships. Okay, so these will be deployed in the Indian Ocean region to spread the message of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is the theme for this year's yoga as well. These are the different ports that I have put over here. In the PDF, you will see it, you will remember it, you will locate it on map. Alright, Chattogram, Bangladesh, Safaga, Egypt, Jakarta of Indonesia, Mombasa of Kenya, Tuamasin of Madagascar, Muscat of Oman, Colombo of Sri Lanka, Phuket of Thailand, and Dubai of UAE. So like this, it is going to work through. INS ships include Kiltan, Chennai, Shivalik, Sunaya. I have already shown you that. So let's move forward to the next question. With respect to the International Day of Yoga, consider the following statements. The theme for the year 2023 is Yoga for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It was established or celebrated for the first time in 2015, the International Day for Yoga. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? So first statement is definitely correct. And second is also correct. We are observing the 9th International Day for Yoga. Both are correct. Both 1 and 2 is the correct answer. Prime Minister is in the US and he will spearhead the International Day of Yoga or Day for Yoga in the UN department. And the theme is Yoga for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which symbolizes one earth, one future, one family. It was celebrated for the first time on June 21st in the year 2015 to show the invaluable gift that India is giving through yoga for mental and physical well-being. In our belief system, the first yogi was Adi Yogi Shiva. And the modern yoga is attributed to Saint Patanjali. In his Yoga Sutras, he has written the very important witty aphoristic Sanskrit Sutras. This Yoga Sutra is an aphoristic Sanskrit Sutra and it has given the philosophy and practice of yoga. So it is mentioning but not elaborating these many yogas which are given, these many asanas which are given in the sutra. Padma, Veera, Bhadra, Swastika, Danda, Sopastrya, Paryanka and the rest as well. Alright, and another father of yoga is considered Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, who was a yoga instructor, Ayurvedic healer and a scholar from India. So Patanjali and Tirumalai Krishnamacharya have been considered as the father of yoga, and in the belief system it's Adi Yogi Shiva. Now, which of the following has become the first foreign government to promote country through yoga? Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka. The correct answer is Oman. Alright. So the Indian Embassy along with the Sultanate of Oman, they have introduced an innovative video which is known as Soulful Yoga Serene Oman. It is for the first time that the involvement of the government of the country is there through the Visit Oman. Okay, Visit Oman is a subsidiary of Ministry of Tourism of Oman. And they are showing this video at picturesque backdrops. People doing yoga in the sandy desert, mountains. So through that video, the importance of yoga is being shown. And this marks the first instance of foreign government using yoga to promote its own country. Tourist sites are being shown at the backdrop of the video where people are doing yoga in Oman. So this is a very important development. Now, let's move forward and know about the optional. We are starting our optionals soon. PSIR, Sociology, Geography, Philosophy, Anthropology, Public Administration, History, and even Hindi Sahitya. If you're looking for affordable and accessible classes with respect to mains optional, you can take admission. Batches are starting for PSIR, it's 25th June. For Sociology, it's 18th June. For Geography, it's 30th June. For Philosophy, 21st June. And different batches are starting at different dates. But the validity is till 25th June of the discount. That means actually the price is 30,000. But if you use the code PDLive, you will get it for 13,999 only. Do visit the website. Alright, moving on. Now, if you want to get the PDF of the class, you can contact me on my Telegram channel, which is Pooja Divedi StudyIQ UPSC. And if you have any question with respect to UPSC, note making, strategy making, with respect to classes, anything that you want to know about UPSC, you can contact me on my Instagram channel as well. Thank you so much for watching.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।